It's why there's a direct correlation between how much basketball you watch and how easily you learn new skills out on the floor. I've spent time with Steph Curry, I spent time with Joel Embiid, other lottery picks, guys who have played in the Final Four, hit big time shots in the tournament. And one thing that is a common thread through all of the high-level players that I've spent time with is that they ask a ton of questions. They have a very curious mind about how things work, if they're doing things correctly, because they're always trying to get better. And so, don't be afraid to ask questions. Really the first time this ever started to become a recurring theme was when I was working with Wes Matthews. He played at Marquette, and he's been in the NBA for several years now. But when I was working with him, he would ask so many questions about little details about the game because he was hungry to get better. And the questions that we ask determine what we focus on. We're going to watch film over the course of the next 2 days. The reason that we watch film is this. Watching film, the way that we are going to watch it as a learning tool, as a teaching tool, is a form of visualization. And our brains cannot tell the difference between physical practice or something actually happening and vivid visualization of that happening. It's why there's a direct correlation between how much basketball you watch and how easily you learn new skills out on the floor. If you don't watch a lot of the game, it's really tough for you to pick up new skills out on the floor because you don't see how it all correlates, how it all fits together. But if you watch the game with a lot of intention, trying to learn, trying to study, how do guys come off ball screens? What are they doing with their feet? What are they doing with their shoulders? What are they doing with their eyes when they're coming off of the middle ball screen? That stuff will translate to the game. You'll notice that there are some players that will be able to essentially automatically add things to their game because, like what I talked about when we first started, they have a foundation. And they see somebody else do something and they can translate that to their game, add it to their skill set seamlessly because they've seen it in their minds before it ever happened out on the court. So when we watch film, try to see yourself in that situation. With the defender in the situation that we're talking about, with you using the move, the skill that we're working on, that we're showing on film. It will be significantly easier for you to translate that to the court. Right now, I'll share an analogy with you. You watch that clip of Steph right there, where he hesitated like he was gonna pull up, freeze him, eyes to the rim, snapped it back over, got it to a pull up. He's changing speeds there, right? This is an analogy that a mentor of mine used to give his players. He said, if I was a boxer, like Gabe, right? If you and me were boxing, right? And I came at you at the same speed, the same swing every single time, would you figure out what I'm gonna do? Right? Because you know it's coming. I'm going at the same speed, the same direction, the same pace every time. You'd figure it out. But if I had combos, if I was bobbing and weaving, would it be a lot harder to figure out what I'm gonna do? Because I'm always going to keep you off guard, off balance, right? By changing your speeds and being shifty, you're always keeping that defender off balance. But if you play at the same speed over and over and over again, the defender's gonna figure you out. You're easy to guard. One of the biggest myths in basketball is that you should go game speed all the time. Or if I asked you if game speed meant going at a 10, full speed all the time, how many of you guys would raise your hand and think that's what you've been taught at game speed is? Most of you, right? Yeah, everybody has told you game speed, game speed, game speed, and you think that means going 100 miles an hour all the time. But this, even those few clips that we watched, when you take a step back from it, take a step away from what you've been told over and over again, and if you were just watching the game for the first time and you were watching the best of the best, do you think that Steph Curry plays at a 10 all the time? No. He goes from a 1 to a 10, to a 3 to a 9, to a 6 to a 1. He's shifting constantly throughout the game. That's one of the reasons that he's so hard to guard. He's constantly shifting his speeds. If you can learn to do that, it's going to give you a huge advantage. And I want you to ask yourself this, and it's an obvious question, but if he didn't have the ability to pass with his left hand, would he have been able to make these plays? Would he have been able to? No. Why not? Because the what's not there. What is not there? If he passed with his right. The angle's not there, right? There's no window if he had to pass with his right hand there. So by not being able to pass with his left hand in those situations, he automatically cuts off 50% of his options. Think about if you had 50% more options. You doubled your amount of options that you had playing off the dribble. It gives you a huge advantage.